Hi, and welcome to a random filler episode, a little side quest if you will. Thing is, I am currently waiting on a book to finish my other project. It makes no sense, but what does? So I made a little alien angel or something like it, trying out a different kind of doll base with inset eyes, so I got to try some new stuff. I've also made some changes in this video, such as a shorter intro and less face up, to speed things up and get to the point faster. I've been searching for different dolls to use as a base. There are a bunch out there that are not monster high and not insanely expensive. So I tried this Novi Stars doll. They're pretty cheap but have been discontinued since 2014. It came with this pink sus looking handle which turned out to be a hair ornament, unfortunately not in my color. I was laughing way too hard at this because I looked like I did all through grade school, minus the tattoos, piercings, tiara and self-confidence. Novi Stars never reached Sweden, so I hadn't heard about them before. I hope I'm not ruining someone's childhood by customizing her. She only has joints at her shoulders, so movement is limited to the body. She also came with a pet and a stand that glows in the dark. Then I realized she had a backpack with a switch, so she could light up. Unfortunately, it's not a hold switch, so one has to hold it. Then, after removing her shoes, I saw that the rubber bands inside the packaging had ruined her legs, so I had to come up with something to hide that. The head was easily removable. Then I investigated the light mechanism. It's like a tiny LED that lights up the whole body. I think it's pretty cool. As usual, I prepare by cutting the hair and scraping it out with a flat screwdriver. The head is vinyl, so the procedure is, not much different from a Monster High head. I make an incision to take the hair out with a pair of pliers, then I cut out a piece to take out the eyes. They were stuck inside the eye sockets, but I got them out eventually. I wanted to make a pair of eyes myself. First I cut off the eyelashes with my X-Acto knife, then I made a mold using this 2-part fast-curing silicone mold putty. It's mixed 1-to-1 and it's super nice to work with. Just mix it into a homogeneous color and press over the object. Then wait 20 minutes and voila, a mold that will hopefully be used more than once. Just in case, I label them left and right in Swedish höger and vänster. Next I add a blob of hot glue before pressing some Fimo clay into it to make the base. It's all about that base, no treble. Then I push them out, remove the hot glue blob, refine the indent with the end of a marker and bake them. I honestly bake more Fimo clay than cookies. After baking, I paint the indent with light pink, add some glitter glue and let that dry completely. Next I shade it with pastels to give them more depth before adding gems as pupils. Then I fill them with UV resin before adding some gold moons. They really don't look like much at this point, but they looked super cool when placed inside the eye sockets. I took some extra time while curing the resin to ensure the light cured it properly, then I gave them a coat of clear nail polish. It's a quick dry one, but apparently that's very subjective, so I had to put them away to avoid poking them to check if they had dried yet. While the eyes dried, I removed the paint on the head with 100% acetone. Unfortunately, the green shimmer disappeared, which was a bit sad, but I did my best during the face up to sparkle it up with some cheap shimmer eyeshadow. I tried blushing her face with pink pastels, but since the blush works together with the skin tone, the green cancelled out the color a bit and it looked more like reddish brown. While editing, I realized that I should have base blushed with my airbrush, but it's too late and that's okay. I used my white watercolor pencil on whatever this eyelid thing is called, then I scraped off a little sneaky dust particle stuck under the MSC before working on the shimmer. I add more than needed because MSC will dull it down. The second layer starts with blushing. I really try to get it pink by building the colors. Then more white on the eyelid and the waterline before I highlighted some ridges on her nose bridge and drew white lashes. I decided against black ones, but it would have been nice with some dark green underneath to give them more of a 3D effect. Then I defined the mouth and eyelids, then drew white designs. These are meant to guide the gold paint I'll add later on. I finished the second layer with shimmer in green and pink. Soon you'll see how MSC dulled her sparkle. I couldn't keep myself from inserting the eyes to see how it looked, and I was not disappointed. Then I used white acrylics for the eyelids and painted more lashes. I always struggle with the eyelashes and I'm not done choosing a style, but I still like the result. Then I painted the gold designs with Coliro paints. Unfortunately, the paint rubbed off a bit while doing the hair, so I had to redo some parts. Finally, I finished the face up with glitter glue, dabbing some of it with a Q-tip, and this is the result. So cute! She got some eyelashes made from a feather, which was a pain to glue. I never learned. Super glue does not work on feathers. They escaped more than once. I was breathing in tiny feathers and I was sneezing all over, but eventually I managed. They were in the way though and drooping, so I added some tiny white doll eyelashes underneath to lift them up a bit. These I bought from Angelisk and they're so tiny and so cute. I added some flat back pearls as decorations, making one a little nose. I was so scared it would turn out crooked. Then I tried gluing the scalp back on, dropped the whole thing, got super glue all over my hands and workspace, yeet! I cried in the shower for a bit, went back to work and managed to glue it on. Next I glossed the eyelids and waterline with Tamiya gloss varnish. This will mess with the nail polish I used on the eyes if it gets in contact with it, so I was super careful while doing this. Then after that had dried completely, I trimmed the neck and reattached the head. The next step is painting the scalp to prepare for the hair. I thought of giving her super colorful hair, but nah. White hair is pretty rad, so I gathered my wefts and glued some pieces onto her head. I didn't even have to make more, I just gathered leftovers from previous projects. After they had dried, I glued and twirled them. It's basically the same hairstyle I gave my Fluffy. Boy, I miss making Pokemon dolls. I love taking the odd ones and combining them with human-like features. I glued these gem beads onto the swirls to hide some spots and make them more sparkly. Then I added some gold nail art pieces without any plan, and I had no regrets. I glued lace pieces onto the legs to hide the ugly spots. I tried light sanding, but that took the glitter away, which felt like a sacrilege, so super glue and lace it is. Can't make it go away? Make it pretty! To make a little pattern for the dress, I start by covering the torso with masking tape, then using a permanent marker and caution, I draw the lines for the bodice, following by cutting and peeling it off. Usually I put cling foil underneath to make this simple, but I figured it would be too bulky since it was so small. I cut the little tape piece, traced it onto folded fabric and ended up with this little piece of fabric I hemmed using fabric glue. Fabric glue solves a lot of tiny sewing problems. I tried it onto the doll and I was satisfied, so I cut out a rectangle of the same fabric for the skirt part and gathered it. I was winging the measurements for the skirt part, so I have nothing smart to say about this. I hemmed the sides, ironed them, and glued the bodice onto it before sewing them together. Since these pieces are so small I couldn't use pins, they made it too bulky, so glue it is, I don't mind. Finally, I added a velcro at the back for easy attachment. After that, the base was finished. For decorations, I went for less is more since I went more is better on the face up and hair, so I just added a little piece of lace and a ring with a gem on it. Then I faced my arch nemesis a second time. Feathers. I wanted to make her a pair of wings, but I prioritized my mental health, so instead I made tiny holes on the sides of her backpack and then glued the feathers there. I used sticky glue this time, which meant I had to support them while drying, but it worked. It took 3 days, but it worked. Finally, I added some gold ribbons at the back of her legs, just for fun. And that was it for this time. She already bore the name Ali Electric, which I shortened to Electric. I'm the queen of bad names. Thankfully, I now have a tiara to play the part. Huzzah! The next video will be the Scottish Terrier, but as I said, I've ordered a book that I need to finish the project. It's not necessary per se, but I feel I can't make the final clothing without a proper guide. And the internet is a cluster of conflicting information, so I feel like a properly written and highly recommended book is the right way to go. Is what I tell myself. The truth is, I love buying books. It's one of my vices, along with tea, chocolate, and reading the comment sections. So this is what I started with, and this is the result. It was so much fun working with inset eyes. I have another one of these, so I will make another Novi Stars custom in the future, so I will get to use that mold a second time. I hope you enjoyed watching the process. Thank you so much for hanging on. Have a lovely day, and until next time, bye!